Hi, and welcome to Screens and Focus Podcast, where we share and connect as we spotlight our favorite shows and movies. I'm Diana.
And I'm Brooke.
And this is episode 101. Today, we're going to be talking about Cobra Kai Season 3, along with other shows and movies we're watching. But before we dive in, how are you doing today, Brooke?
Oh, thank you for asking, Diana. I'm actually doing pretty darn good. Feeling good on this Saturday afternoon, hanging out with my friend. Just finished up work, so I'm pretty good. How about you?
Oh, that's awesome. I always look forward to our time together, and we get to talk about movies and TV, which I love. So I feel great. And, it's been raining a lot here, but we got a little break. So it's nice to see a little bit of the sun. So
yes, that's awesome. I know, it feels really good.
I know, but we get to talk about one of our favorite shows, Cobra Kai Season 3. And I don't know, so much happened and I can't wait to break it down with you. But I was thinking as I was watching this, how Johnny had to come up with a dojo name. And as he came up with it, I thought, what would we name our own dojo? So, Brooke, if you had to come up with a name of a karate dojo, what would you call it?
I'm going to go with Screens and Focus Podcast. I'm just kidding.
I like it.
And I did actually think about that because the kids and we've been going over our spirit animals.
Oh.
And yeah, they got some pretty good ones. For a while there, they told me that my spirit animal was an owl, and I loved it. And I was like, oh my gosh, it sounds just like me. But then it turned out that it's not an owl. I'm actually a bumblebee. So I'm going to go with Bee Sting Dojo.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Thanks. I think it's
very cool.
Yeah, and I even have a logo, pictured in my mind. So we're gonna have to work on that.
Oh man, that's so good.
Yeah. What would you name your karate dojo?
I don't know. I'm too busy thinking about your name. I really like it.
Oh.
Just like sting like a bee. Yes, it's so good.
Right?
Well, I was thinking something at first like a panther, but
Ooh.
I couldn't think of like panther what? Panther.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't think of the second word that would go with that. And then I thought of a lion because I love lions.
Yeah.
But I can't be Lion King because that's already a movie. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man. Then I was thinking, what is, just massive and I thought of dragon, and so I thought of Dragon Doe. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts. So I think I'll go with Dragon Doe, even though I do like the panther thing too.
Ooh, yeah, those are good ones. I like dragon because it reminds me of the T-shirt that I got for you, the Mother of Dragons.
Yes. Dragon what then? Dragon what? I said Dragon Doe because I couldn't think of another name, but Dragon
Fire.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Dragon
Why
Stone. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Or was it Dragon Glass in Game of Thrones? Was it Dragon Glass or what was it? Dragon? Yeah. I can't remember.
It was glass, but I can't remember if that's the word that they used.
Dragon okay.
Glass.
Well, anyway, dragon sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yes. So friends out there listening, let us know what you think. We want to know what's the name of your dojo. You can leave us a comment on Twitter at @in_screens or at our Screens and Focus Facebook page. You can follow us on our Instagram. You can subscribe to our website. The link is in our show notes. All right. Spoilers ahead. Diana, we've come to the time where I want to know your overall thoughts on season 3, Cobra Kai.
Oh my gosh. Okay, this show, it's just so much fun. Can you really say that about a lot of shows, right? I mean, there are a lot of them that are really good, that really grip you, that scare you, but this show is like fun. It has heart. It makes me laugh. There are lessons to be learned, and every character is growing one way or another. We learn about Kreese's background and how that impacted his whole life. I love that the series continues to show flashbacks from the original movie with Daniel and Johnny and reconnecting with familiar faces. I was so thrilled with season 3, and I cannot wait for season 4.
Me too. Oh my gosh, I just feel all of your energy about this show through your words. So thank you for sharing that. I was dying to know about what happened to all of our friends. Miguel, Robbie, Sam, Tori. Like, I just needed to know what they were going through. I felt so bad for everyone, including the adults. Yes, Johnny, Daniel, Miguel's mom, Kreese. It just felt so good to have some closure and understand how everyone dealt with that impact from that massive fight at the school.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was very well done. Very well done. I mean, we were still hanging at the edge of our seats.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I love that they can do that, that they're able to do that. It's like, leave us hanging for more. It's like, we can't wait.
I know. And we had to watch it slow so that we could enjoy this for more than one afternoon,
I know.
or one day.
I did that too. I tried to stretch it out the first time I watched it. I'm like, okay, try and stretch it out, but it's hard. And then I watched it again. And I ended with I saved the last episode to rewatch last night just because I wanted that. I just wanted that again, and I was so excited. So,
all right. She's pumped, you guys.
Yeah.
Diana's going to start with her thoughts on episodes 1 through 5. Ready, set, go.
Okay. In episode 1, Aftermath, of course, we're dealing with the ramifications of the high school brawl and how it's affecting everyone. Miguel is in his coma. Robbie's hiding. Sam is suffering from PTSD. Johnny is in a drunken stupor, and Daniel and Amanda's business is suffering due to the community's outrage. They were like so pissed off. It was like crazy. Oh gosh. And at first I thought, okay, would people really react like this? But you know what? People are crazy. They probably do. So I don't know. But, they all have to figure out a way to move forward. And I like the conversation that Sam and Daniel have reflecting on what happened and how they need to stay focused on doing what's right. And I love that Daniel says, thinks about what he learned from Mr. Miyagi and that they can't run away from their problems. And so, he kind of gives Sam the advice for himself and for Robbie that, they just can't run away from these things. So I think it just kind of encompasses all of them of what they need to do. Mm-hmm. But I have to say that I felt so bad for Robbie, and I really do. So I was so happy that Daniel searches for him and asks Johnny's help in doing that. I find it interesting that Johnny is really there for Miguel, telling him to never give up. But I wonder, why isn't he just thinking about his son as much as he's thinking about Miguel? I know he loves him. I know he does, but I don't know. I just feel him really there for Miguel more from what we're seeing. And also, Miguel's in this coma, right? Because we don't know in the first episode, what's going to happen. And I like that we're kind of in his head and we see him battling like at an All Valley tournament at the very beginning. And then at the very end, we see that too. And he punches or he gets the upper hand on his opponent. And that's right when he opens his eyes and the episode ends.
Right. Oh.
And so then we go into episode 2, which is nature versus nurture. And that's where we begin to learn about Kreese's background, about him being bullied and joins the army. And then we see him present day, and he's like challenging his students and gets rid of what he regards as weak. And then he manages to get Tori to return to the dojo with all that she's dealing with.
That was really an intense recruiting process, I felt like, for her to see Tori in her day in her life. That was hard to see that. I didn't know what she was going through.
Well, and I think that's what's really good about the show, because even for Kreese, right? I mean, he's us as the bad guy, but little by little throughout each episode, we start to learn about why he is the way he is. And same thing with Tori, right? I mean, because everybody has their story. Nobody just is born, wanting to do bad or be, however, from coming from their perspective, there's always something that triggered them or that changed them or anyway. So we see Daniel and Johnny search for Robbie together. And it's funny because while they're doing this, we see how opposite they are and how they get on each other's nerves. And so their relationship is very comical. And, I feel like they're starting to get along, but then something always happens to put them at odds. And I just want them to get over that hump. It's always this friction between them because I really feel like they could be great allies. They end up searching and they come up on this garage where they think Robbie's at, and they start fighting the guys. And it was cool to see them fight together, right? I just thought that was so cool.
That was.
And, but then Johnny kind of takes it too far because he starts beating this guy, and Daniel's all, God, he's already given us all he can. Why are you still beating the crap out of him? And so they argue about that, and they throw some verbal jabs at each other, and then they go their separate ways. But I was really happy to see that Daniel reunites with Robbie because Robbie goes to see his mom. And I was so happy that Daniel apologized for what he had said to him. And because I didn't think it was right how he, what he said. I felt like he should have backed him more at the time. But at the same time, I'm glad Daniel realized that. And so he tells, Robbie that mistakes don't define who you are, which I just think everybody should hold to heart, right? Because everybody makes some mistakes. But then Robbie's arrested and feels totally betrayed. Yeah. And then we see Johnny, that he visits Miguel. And, at this point, we still don't know if he's going to walk again. And that leads us into, were you going to say anything?
Oh, I've been processing a lot when you had originally spoke about Johnny, Miguel, and Robbie, and, how he's there for Miguel, and it's harder for him to be there for Robbie. And then you also had talked about Kreese and Tori and how, or where their turning point was for them.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I wonder the same thing about Johnny and his son, but there's something that's also preventing him from getting to Robbie.
Yes.
And I wonder more so where that comes from, because he was a privileged young person, his stepfather.
Yes.
But also his stepfather, his father figure in his life was such a jerk.
Yes, he was.
And that's kind of how he started out in fatherhood himself.
Yeah. Yes, you're right.
So they need their intense healing in order for them to get to a place. And it's almost like Johnny and Daniel, how they, every time they get close, they get pushed farther apart. It's this kind of a repeat of habit between him and his son as well, because it started, season 2, he was driving his son to school at one point.
Yeah.
And then now that was actually the last episode where we saw them get into the fight. He drove him to school that day. And then after that, they were separated again.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
They'll have to try again on their mending, right? Oh,
Yes.
so hard.
In episode 3, Now You're Gonna Pay, the LaRusso's dealership is suffering. A competitor tries to buy them out. And while Daniel is at a loss for what to do, he remembers that Mr. Miyagi told Daniel's son, man who works for passion is always richer than a man who works for money. And each time Daniel needs clarity, he remembers these moments. And I love the flashback with them cutting the bonsai trees back from the original movies, which is an exercise in focus. And so this invigorates Daniel to save his business. And so he heads to Japan, which I loved. And Johnny meets up with his pastor buddy who advises him to, do what's right. And so he helps Johnny by setting up a visit with Robbie, but Johnny doesn't show. Oh my God. Again, I was so upset. And I know he's torn, and he decides to stay at the hospital with Miguel because the grandma says, you can be here with us and pray, or I'm not sure exactly what she tells him, but he ends up staying, I think, because he feels obligated to. But I was thinking, no, you're letting your son down again. And
Yeah.
meanwhile, Robbie is trying to adjust to juvenile hall and keeps getting harassed by a group of guys. And, he has to deal with his dad not showing up. Robbie, I just feeling bad for him.
So bad.
So then in episode 4, The Right Path, Daniel's in Okinawa. Flashbacks. Oh, I love these of, and there's just something about the music and seeing Mr. Miyagi and Daniel. It just makes me feel so nostalgic. So I was with Daniel and equally disappointed when the village was now a mall. I'm like, no, no. Oh, but he, goes around and he sees Kumiko. So he reunites with her. And this was his love interest in Karate Kid 2. Oh my gosh. I swear the flashbacks are just some of my favorite. Just seeing those, incorporated into the show, and they catch up on the past. And he tells her that, he has a great life, but he admits he's struggling. And so she shows him the letters that Mr. Miyagi wrote to his love, and they find one that was written the week that he died. And she reads it, and Mr. Miyagi expresses what Daniel means to him. And oh my God, tears were flowing down my face. It just really warmed my heart. And I just was feeling the love between Mr. Miyagi and Daniel. I just thought it was so special. And so then Johnny tries to reconnect with Robbie at the food kitchen, but it doesn't go so well. But he does connect with Miguel and tells him no more excuses and that he will always be his teacher and support him. Yeah. In the meantime, students of Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai continue to battle at school, on the field. But I was so mad at that. I think, is she the counselor? I don't know if she's the counselor or the principal, but why is it that they're always supporting the other side, the Cobra Kais when they're acting up? It's like, so many times Sam gets into trouble and, like she's the one in the wrong. They always see it from the other, the other side. And I was like, hate that part.
I know.
But whoa, at the very end, it was so cool. We see Chosen at the end with a flashback, showing the flashback of who he is. Oh, so damn cool.
I love that they went to Japan.
And then in episode 5, Miyagi-Do, it was so exciting. The opening with Daniel and Chosen fighting in flashbacks and with Daniel putting his lessons to work. And then in current time, Chosen walks up with the same intense music and Daniel's ready to throw a punch. You know, he's kind of like clenching his fist, like what's going to come next? But then Chosen bows. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank goodness. And then Kumiko tells Daniel that Chosen has changed and he takes Daniel to the Miyagi-Do dojo and learns some new techniques. And I can't help but think that at this point, I can't help but think that these are going to play a part in the upcoming episodes. So I was so looking forward to that. And we also see Robbie continuing, fighting against these bullies at juvie. And we also see Miyagi-Do battle Cobra Kai. They're battling it out. And I love how they show, they flip from one fight to another. I just think that's really cool. I like that storytelling. Yeah. And then Tori shows up and man, I would be scared of her. Like she scares me. Like she's a great actress. She like encompasses a bully so well. And I think the biggest shock to me was that Hawk broke Dimitri's arm and that Sam
was crazy.
Yeah. And that Sam sat paralyzed in fear.
Yeah. Oh, that was so hard to watch. And so just, oh my gosh, I can't believe that he did that. Do you think he felt remorse as soon as he did it?
Yes. But he was so, he succumbed to peer pressure, I feel because they were telling him to do it, and he did it. And then his face was kind of like, oh shit, what did I just do?
Yeah, why did he get arrested for that? Sheesh.
I know.
He should have ended up in juvie with Robbie.
I know, right? Well, the thing was, though, okay, so I'm glad you brought that up because I want to say something about Robbie. Robbie's intention wasn't to, I don't feel, it wasn't his intention to like push him over. He was just fighting back. He was just fighting with him. He just wanted to win whatever. It wasn't like he was like, oh, I'm going to push him over the edge and he's going to fly over and he's going to hurt himself. Where like, let's just say with Hawk and Dimitri, I mean, he knew what he was doing. He was going to break his arm. So I feel like there's a big difference there where I feel like everybody was just after Johnny, like, after Robbie, it was like, oh, what you did. It's like, I mean, yes, he shouldn't have done it, but I don't feel his intention was to hurt him like that. It just, they were all fighting. But I do want to say that I love Johnny and Miguel's relationship. Johnny's approach to help Miguel is just so hysterical. He hangs that 1980s magazine from a fishing hook to get Miguel to try and reach it. And then, oh my God, he lights Miguel's foot on fire. Oh. And then he takes Miguel to a Dee Snider concert at the end. And it was so funny. And it's like, finally, Johnny gets on Facebook and Allie accepts his friend request. Oh, all of that was so cool.
Yep, that was a very good episode. I was very happy to see Miguel tapping away to the song at the concert.
I know. I loved it. So, Brooke, tell me, you're going to give your insights to episodes 6 through 10.
Yes, and episode 6, King Cobra. In that episode, past Kreese, because they did the flashback, and Kreese was invited to the special ops team by his Captain Turner, and that's where he learned Tang Sudo in the war. So, in the present time, Kreese, he recruited Hawk's former bullies, public enemy number 1, Kyler. So then Hawk sees them and he starts having his flashbacks, and they're just so horrible. These flashbacks are terrible of what his bullies had done, and his overcoming is telling Kreese that they're not Cobra Kai material. But Kreese, he believes that they're naturally athletic, and that's just what Cobra Kai needed. Oh, Kreese is just such a bad guy.
I know. He's actually a really good bad guy too, right? I mean, I just totally believe him.
I know. I'm like, why is this guy even around? But Hawk had to hold in so much pain in order for him to beat the ugly out of Brooks in that match. And he scared the you-know-what out of Kyler.
Yeah.
I was watching Hawk, like, just going to town on that guy. He was so enraged.
Oh, he was. He's good too.
Yeah. He's really good.
I like him. Yeah, as an actor.
Too. Yeah. I just felt really bad for Hawk at the time during that beatdown situation, you know, because of all the pain that he was just letting out. But I understood how badly Hawk had endured that pain from these guys, and I know how it feels to just let things out, but it was just so hard to see that, so hard to see him in so much pain, because I truly believe that that's where that was coming from. Mm-hmm. And then there was a lot going on with like the flashbacks and Kreese's flashbacks, where Captain Turner receives a letter addressed to Kreese, and then he hides it from him. So Captain Turner ordered Kreese to set off a bomb, but Kreese couldn't do it because Ponytail was in there. So instead, they were all captured, and then Ponytail was shot anyways.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really hard to see that.
Right.
And changing the subject, back at the apartment, Johnny and Miguel have a disagreement. And while they were arguing about Kreese taking the dojo, we noticed Miguel standing and taking steps while he's in the harness. I was just feeling such a proud moment. And then we also got to see Amanda trying to negotiate with Armand to get Kreese out of the lease, but it backfires and her triple threat deal is off.
I know. See, but again, it happens. Was this the part where she slapped him?
I think it was in that episode when she slapped him.
Because she slaps him, right? And then Daniel comes home, and then they go to the police station, and then they're going to file a restraining order, and then there's one on her. I'm like, damn it. See, they always get everything turned on them, right? I mean, with Sam, it was that counselor, and here it's the police. You know, they're like, oh, we don't have to go find you. We can just hand you the restraining order here. She's all, great, thanks. Made your job easier. I'm like, oh my gosh. Just so frustrating. It drives me crazy.
I know.
But, oh my gosh, what I loved about this episode was Miguel and Johnny taking all those Facebook pics. Oh my God, I was laughing so hard. Cute. Loved
sushi.
Yes, he's all spitting it out. He's all acting like he likes it, and then he's all spitting it out.
He's all, do you want this?
It cracks me up.
So in episode 7, Obstaculos, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Sorry about that. But
I don't know.
Sam is clearly suffering from PTSD, and her dream of she and Tori facing off in Miyagi-Do, that was scary for her. Oh my gosh. In the dream, Tori drowns her in the pond, and I just felt that Sam and her dad going fishing was so good for her to face her fears and her anxiety. So she wasn't able to help Dimitri, and she feels that she may not be able to fight karate anymore. So that was really, I think, an opening for her to at least speak of it out loud, you know, and even though she was defensive with her dad, I think it was important that that happened.
Yes.
So then, Miguel, he shined. He was able to go to school on crutches. But when he learned about Dimitri's broken arm due to the Cobra Kai, Miguel confronts Hawk and disbelief. And I was so proud of Miguel for standing up for the whole cause. Miguel, he was unable to walk. He was in a coma. And these kids don't see how badly harmed people can be. And being that Dimitri's assault was intentional, I just saw the disappointment from Miguel's character. And I think that he displayed that very well. I'm still very confused as to why these kids have not received all this pain thought through. But here we are in season 3 of Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
It's very important that they're teaching these lessons to our youth, I think. So at any time, when I was in high school or middle school and my parent had to be on campus at any age in elementary school, I was always cringing if my mom had to be at my school. Like, oh, why is she here? So then when we saw Johnny sneaking on campus and he tells the kids that he screwed up, and I really felt his sincerity.
Yes,
just
me too.
Him being there for them. And he tells the kids where the new dojo is, and to see them, he's going to see them there. But my favorite part of that on-campus moment with Johnny being there is when he smacks that teenager's books out of his hands and he tells him he just had to do it, That was just so classic and perfectly done by Johnny.
Oh, God. I know he goes, sorry. He apologizes. They're like, sorry, old habits, or I don't know what he said, but it was a crack up. Classic Johnny.
Totally.
And also through this episode, Johnny's technical skills. Oh my gosh. He says when they're on Facebook, he wonders how long it takes to travel on Facebook to another state.
That's pretty cute.
Oh my God. And then when he's naming the dojo, he says, oh, what about KKK or something? Cobra Kai Karate or something like that. And Miguel translates that. He's all, KKK? I don't think so. And it was just like, it's so funny because it's almost in that situation that Miguel's kind of like parenting Johnny so much. I think he even tells him, I don't know if it's this one or the next one. He says, oh, they drank the juice. And Johnny's all like, what juice? I'm like, really? But really, Johnny would be the one to know that, right? Because of how the time that happened many, many years ago. And how would Miguel even know that? So it's just so funny how they feel like, that Miguel's being the parent in this, and the teacher or the mentor. But I just love them together. They crack me up.
I love it.
I also want to say how you were mentioning Sam and Daniel and being really good teaching moments. I think Daniel is such a good dad to Sam. I really do. I just love that he listens to her and tries to give her the lessons that he learned. And sure, of course he makes mistakes sometimes, but he just loves his daughter and he's willing to, realize and admit when he does make his mistakes and, always try to come from, her end and seeing her and listening to her. So I just think that that's so awesome. He's such a good dad.
Yes, he is. Thank you for showing us how to mentor our kids, Daniel. Daniel-san.
Yeah.
In episode 8, The Good, the Bad, and the Badass, I'm going to give this episode to Sam and Miguel. Without these two, the All Valley Championships would not be able to happen. Without those two speaking from their hearts and actually supportive of one another. I mean, they went there together.
Yeah.
And they spoke from their personal experience. And so even though there are 3 dojos who cannot convince the council to approve it, those kids did it. They spoke from their experience and their heart, and they made it happen. Sam's mom got kicked out, and I still can't believe that she slapped Kreese.
No, I know.
It seemed, back at Miyagi-Do, Robbie walking up to Sam and Miguel, that was like a very emotional moment. But let's not forget, we need to rewind. Robbie got out of prison And Johnny and Daniel both showed up to be supportive, and Robbie didn't want to have anything to do with them. I mean,
Yeah.
a couple of grumpy old men bickering at the meeting point where Robbie is being picked up. I just like, how did they not see that? He was abandoned by his father and turned in by these men. You know, Daniel had called the police.
Mm-hmm.
And then all they can do is think of fighting with each other, even at the most vulnerable moment that actually matter. Sheesh.
Mm.
It just doesn't make any sense that they're like, they got caught by surprise by Robbie. I'm like, hello, you're there for Robbie, but
Yes.
come on, get with it. So on a lighter note, Johnny and Carmen, they talk nicely. And then they totally get it on. She straddles him. They're like passionate. They knock the TV off the wall. I mean, they're like hot. They're like on fire.
Yes, that's so true. That's a crack up. I like it. You know, the focus on the three dojos was really entertaining. And I think at that, when they were there, you know, pleading their case, he says something. Johnny brings up a wedgie or a swirly. Wasn't it Johnny? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were cracking me up. And yeah, I felt bad for Robbie showing up at Miyagi-Do and seeing that. But then, God, he goes to Cobra Kai, and I'm like, no, why are you going there?
Yeah. Honestly,
really?
like, I'm getting tired of this grumpy old man way of life. They're just... It was funny how they both would sit down when Kreese would be like this, you know, veteran, this war veteran, and they're like praising him, and they're just like, ugh, you know. But I really am like hoping that they can work together, because it's starting to wear and tear on me.
Yeah,
that they can't get it together, and like, you know, like the whole Robbie picking him up from jail, Robbie creeping up on Sam and Miguel. That was just so convenient for that to happen. I mean, if anything, that would have been their moment to really consult with each other, because that was a big, I mean, it was this love triangle that started all of this, really.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see this be a moment for them to maybe confront each other positively, I guess. I mean, he threw the guy or pushed the guy off a balcony.
Exactly, you know? Right. He could have, yeah, you're right.
So, like you said earlier, he didn't do it intentionally to kill the person or to put him in the hospital, but, you did. You did.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. These kids need to start really facing and learning from these experiences. And I think for Sam, it's really hard. She was traumatized by that experience. And Miguel is trying to be what he once was. You know, his training, we watch him fall, and he's trying so hard. He wants to do it. He doesn't want to be treated like a baby. He wants to be that, at his prime where he was at the All Valley. He wants that back. And, to see how far Robbie has come. He was, this hooligan, and now and then his life was turning around, and now look at where he's back. I mean, even just visiting with his old buddies when Johnny and Daniel had gone to prison to go meet his thieves, those guys that he used to hang around.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Okay, that cracked me up too. That was a good scene.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh, gosh.
It's just, look at how far Robbie had come, and then he got, like, 2 steps forward, like...
Yeah, I know.
How many steps back?
3 steps forward, 2 steps back?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
So, it's just like this tango. It's just, I want to see... I like the drama because it's a show, and, like, that's where I can get my drama. I'd rather have their drama than mine. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, can we just all like get along? So in episode 9, Feel the Night, right? Where did we leave off? Carmen and Johnny, right? Oh, but wait, there's more. Now there's Johnny and Allie. What's this? Allie is back in the valley. Yay, let's ride this train and hope that Carmen will still be around. But lovely. It was so good to see them together. I love their caring nature off the bat. I mean, Allie invites Johnny to a party, and then at that party, Johnny is looking hot, right? He's got that Scarface suit on, and he looks disappointed when he sees Daniel hugging Allie at a distance.
I know.
Robbie and Cobra Kai steal a cobra from the zoo. Like, that's just crazy altogether. But he did it, and Kreese was pleased. So, Diana, how do you feel about Daniel being partial to the idea of Sam and Miguel working as a stronger force? I mean, especially having gone to Japan recently. He's learned a lot since this trip.
Yeah, I just think it's great. And I love that the bond that Daniel and Miguel are finally having too.
Perfect.
You know, because they're learning from each other also, which I really like that that Daniel's open to it, right? So, I mean, he is the one that won the All Valley and everything. So, yeah. And I think, I am excited to see them, together and fight alongside each other. So,
well, yeah. And it's going to like bring Johnny into the mix of things. So that's kind of like, reminds me of that movie, The Parent Trap.
Yeah. So I just have to bring Tori up again because she was super scary in this. I tell you, I would be afraid of her too. So I totally get why Sam is so scared of her and has her PTSD. And Johnny, he's always making me cringe or making me laugh. He just amuses me so much. You know, he orders that vegan burger with Allie. Yes. And then she's like, oh, I'll just have a cheeseburger. And he's all, second thought, I'll have a cheeseburger too.
Yeah.
Just cracking me up. I was so thrilled to see Allie, and me too. I love their relationship. And, I'm so happy they got her to come back, Elizabeth Shue. Yay, I just wanted this to happen so, so bad. I'm so glad that she came back and
she looks
here.
Great.
She does. And I could feel their connection and their chemistry, and, it's just really good. So I just loved it. And I also loved seeing her and Daniel too. So I thought that was really awesome.
That's great. Oh, I'm so glad. That was a good episode. I liked to see them in all the, elements, and going back to mini golf, that arcade.
Yeah.
That was really cute. And to see her interacting with her mom, like feeling like I just felt like she was a kid again. Mm-hmm.
Yes. You always feel like a kid with your parents, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how old you are. Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
It was cute. I was happy with that episode. Really happy. So in episode 10, December 19th, this episode had me at the edge of my seat. Everything happened. There was so much built up tension that was either fueled or put at ease. And if you saw this episode, you will know that Johnny and Daniel and Allie and Amanda, they had their moment. And they got to understand each other, and I loved it. And if you know Daniel and Johnny, we've seen them both on peaceful terms and before, and it was short-lived, right? So I wonder how long this will last, and will they tolerate working together through the dojos, through the lives of their kids, for the sake of these kids and karate.
I know. Oh, wow. So I want to say I was so excited with this last episode, and I too was on the edge of my seat. In the beginning, I was laughing out loud watching Daniel and Johnny interact in front of Allie, and I was so happy to see her clarify some of the things that happen and give these guys perspective. And I finally feel that they could see something other than their own view, which will help hopefully mend their old ways. And then we see the fight at the house that was so well choreographed and filmed, just like the finale in season 2. We see Tori and Sam face off. Oh my God, holy crap. I was like, I was so happy to see her go and get that, I don't know what it's called. I hate to call it a stick, but when everything that her dad taught her and she could utilize the moves and the techniques that she learned. And I was so happy with Hawk, AKA Eli's change of heart. I was like, yes. Oh, I was so happy about that. And then we see Johnny, Kreese, and Robbie. That was just too much. That was like, oh my gosh, my brain. I was like, what is going to happen? What's Robbie going to do? What's Johnny going to do? What's Kreese going to do? And did you notice that when Johnny was fighting with Kreese, that you could tell it was a different person? Because they showed the back of him. He's all agile. I'm like, yeah, he's not that agile. I mean, mind you, Johnny's in his 50s, right? So, I mean, he's not as agile as Robbie would be. So, and then here you got Kreese, who's much older. So I just thought that part was funny too, watching that fight. But, and then we see that Johnny has to push Robbie because he goes, I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to fight you, which I so appreciate. It was a perfect thing to say, right, to your son. But then he has to push Robbie off, and then Robbie hits his head. I'm like, oh my God, it knocks him out. And then that's when Kreese, gets him in a chokehold. Thank God Daniel came when he did. Thank gosh. And I will say for me, the highlight was watching Daniel fight Kreese. And when he was able to use those moves that he learned. I was yelling, yes, 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 when Daniel was using those moves that Chosen taught him on Kreese. It was so perfect. These moments are my favorite, and it reminds me of all the lessons that Mr. Miyagi taught Daniel. So it was just a really great, great finale.
Exactly.
I also want to know what you thought about Kreese and his, what happened to him in Vietnam, what you thought about all that, because it kind of brings, it shows the end result of that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought of him as a different person while he was younger and working in the restaurant and finding his love of his life. And then the letter comes and that corrupted captain of his and, volunteering himself to fight the Captain Turner, that's definitely where I feel that he was reborn into this person. I mean, he endured his pain and it changed him forever. I mean, look at him.
I know, right? And isn't it interesting that there were the snakes, or I don't know, were they cobras down there? I don't know, but that's where he probably came up with the name. And also, yeah, I don't know.
Mercy came from Captain Turner. So
exactly.
He was definitely influenced greatly while he was a soldier. And I don't even know if he would have been the right person for that young lady when he would go home.
Right. I agree. With you. Yeah.
At least we got to see his story. I'm actually thankful for that. So we know why he is the way that he is.
Yeah. It was such a great episode. I loved it.
There was a lot that went on in this entire season. There are a lot of details.
Exactly.
So what else, Diana? Do you have any additional thoughts about season 3?
Well, I want to say that Aisha was gone, and it's a huge bummer, but I really hope that they bring her back in the next season because, maybe she'll be a Miyagi-Do. Maybe that'll help them, right? And I think that Sam needs a friend, a girlfriend. So it would be great to see her. And it cracks me up. There's no shortage of the word badass in Johnny's vocabulary, which I love because it's so him. I thought it was cool that Daniel reunites with Una. She's the one he saved in the typhoon in Karate Kid 2.
Yeah.
And she's the one who helps him save his business, which I thought was so well done. And we've talked about Tori and her major issues, but I swear to God, that lip of hers that's always like kind of quivering, and she just like is so good at being bad. And I do want to mention Amanda again, and I did this last podcast on seasons 1 and 2, bringing up Amanda. She really is a supportive wife, mother, and business partner, because she tells Daniel, you know what, go take time off, take the day off, spend it with your daughter. She goes, I'll run the business. This is what we need. I'm like, holy crap, you're good. And then just even with him and Allie and she gets it. And I just love her. I think she's a great wife, mother, and business partner. So I like her a lot. And when Miguel was talking about the All Valley tournament and bringing up why it's important to have it, he brought up the values of discipline, inner strength, and confidence. And I just thought that was so good. I loved hearing him say that. And I mentioned earlier about Miguel and Daniel bonding, and I thought that was good because Miguel saw Daniel's point of view on so many things, which I think, gave him further insight to learning about Daniel. And, at the end when Allie and Johnny were, at the end of the party, they hug and Open Arms is playing. And I was like, swoon, because, I don't know, just something very nostalgic with them hugging and just, I felt like she was really encouraging him about Carmen and, just kind of being there for each other. So I just thought that was really cool and that she gave him good advice. And then we see Johnny, he's like, all of a sudden he gets a light bulb and he's like, oh my God, like he realizes how much he cares about Carmen and that he loves her. And then that's when he decides to run and talk to her. But when he gets there, that's when he sees that Miguel is all beat up. And then that throws him over the edge and what causes him to go to Kreese and the Cobra Kai dojo. Mm-hmm. But I do want to mention the music being instrumental in this show. Even the music when Daniel talks about Miyagi-Do or Mr. Miyagi or lessons that they've learned, how they play that little music. And then when Johnny gets his group together or he's about to do something, you hear the rock music start to come up. And even when there's something with Kreese, that music comes up. Music is I love when music really propels the story forward, and it really does in the show. And I really appreciate it. At the very, very end of the last episode, we see how Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang people come together. And I loved that. And the song was the Phil Collins song, I Can Feel It. And just to watch each friend be reunited with each other, standing side by side, and then Daniel standing there. And that's when Johnny comes out and they look at each other and they bow. Oh, I love that moment. It was so cool.
Yeah. Good. I like all your feedback.
I do want to say though that Robbie's missing. And it really, really breaks my heart.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? You have any additional thoughts on the season?
Poor Robbie. I don't know what he's going to do. I'm
I
glad
know.
to see Robbie's mom doing a lot better in rehab, though.
Yes.
So hopefully when she gets out of rehab, she'll be a better parent to Robbie and for herself too. So that was good to see her doing better. Johnny, when she asked him what's he been up to, and I loved how his was like a full-on book, and Miguel was like, "Oh, are you writing a book or what?" And he had to shorten it, and all he said was, "Not much." And clearly they've been through a lot. Amanda, she had me pumped up this episode or this season altogether. She was just a boss lady, right? And I was thinking of her when all the kids broke the house. I was like, I would freak the frack out if I were her. I would, oh my gosh, everything, glass broken everywhere, windows shattering, just crazy. All my stuff. I would be so freaking out. I love Yasmin and Dimitri. I think she did such a good job as a friend when she saved his arm cast from that public humiliation. And she can relate to him. And she helps him with, what he's dealing with these bullies. And they're just so cute together. I love those two.
Yeah, that was cute.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure that we spoke about the dealership. For me and my heart, I feel like there was a huge risk with their business and losing their business. And I just wanted to make sure that I say that I was hoping that their business would survive. I really felt terrible about all the snakes in the grass trying to take their livelihood. And I'm just so thankful that it all worked out for them because, they work so hard at what they do. And that other dealership, that competitor was trying to weasel their way and push them out. And I just think that happens way too much in industry. And I just, was praying that wouldn't happen to them. And so thankful that they got, their colleague back. I think his name is Amin, and he helped them with their business because he left in season 1 or 2.
Are you talking about the cousin or the other guy? The other guy's name is Manoush.
Oh, Manoush, yeah, Manoush. I was glad to see him back and helping their dealership. That was good. I was glad to see that. So yeah, that's kind of some of the things that I noticed in the season. So Diana, what do you hope to see in season 4?
I hope to see more of Daniel and Johnny teaming up to battle Kreese and any new villain. And I'm thinking, could it be Terry Silver? Oh, gosh, I don't know, because Kreese makes that call and he's looking at the picture and Karate Kid 3. Oh, my gosh. So, more rivalry. But I'm just hoping that they team up and, can get Kreese out of there. And I really want Robbie to know that both Johnny and Daniel love him. And I'm not sure how long that will take, but I just don't like that he's with Kreese at all. And I hope, I do want to say that Tori is very manipulative because I noticed that she always plays upon people's insecurities. And I think that she did that with Robbie. And I think that's why he went to Kreese. And I don't like it. So I want Robbie to know the people that really care about him. So, Brooke, tell me, what are your hopes for season 4?
I'm hoping to see strong relationships built and holding on together by strong glue. And I'm curious what the glue will be. I'm surprised that it has gone as far as it has, and I hope that we see some of the tension put to rest. It's a lot to take in, and I think Kreese is very unstable, and he's acting really manic, and someone needs to call the authorities and get his ass out.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, well, that wraps it up for Cobra Kai Season 3. Amazing series. So if you're not watching it and you've listened to our podcast, you better go out and watch it.
Yes, that's for sure.
So Diana, what else are you currently watching?
Well, I just want to briefly mention what I'm watching. I have put some of this up on our blog. If you go to our link in our bio, you can click on that. And we're also going to have our podcast on what we're currently watching so we can, dig in and let people know. But I did finish The Office. And this was right before New Year's Eve, but it took me several months to get through them all, but I loved it. And I'm starting to watch it again. And I'm listening to Office Ladies, which is a podcast where they're going over each episode. And I just think it's a really fun show. So if you haven't watched The Office, you should just give it a try. It's really funny. And then now that I'm at the end and I go back and watch the beginning ones, I'm laughing at almost nothing. In the beginning, when I watched, I had no idea because I didn't know the characters. Now everything is funny to me. So I just love The Office. I'm watching This Is Us. I love This Is Us. I believe they're on season 5. I've talked about it before, but it's been so good. So I recommend people watch that. Bridgerton, I watched on Netflix. I loved it so much. I highly recommend that. The Servant is on Apple TV. This is an M. Night Shyamalan kind of creepy thriller, and it's really good. It's on season 2. I binge watched season 1, and now I'm watching season 2 weekly. It's really good. I watched The Flight Attendant on HBO Max. Oh, that was so entertaining. It's comedy, drama, mystery too. Very, very good. And as far as movies, I had watched Wonder Woman 1984, and I loved it. It was great. I watched the Bee Gees documentary. I love them so much. So it was a really great documentary. I watched The Sound of Metal, which with Riz Ahmed, and he is getting buzz for maybe Oscar nominated. But it's funny, I came across a variety actors on actors, and it had Stephen Yeun from Walking Dead, and he's in a movie called Minari that I haven't seen yet. I don't know if it's released. It might not be released till February, but that's also getting buzz for Oscar. And so Stephen and Riz were interviewing each other and talking about each of their movies. And that was just really, really good. I liked getting insight to both of them and their characters and everything. So anyways, that's what I'm currently watching. What about you, Brooke? What are you watching?
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for your recommendations. Those look awesome. I want to check The Servant out tonight, I think. But I don't know.
Yes.
I've got kids. They're always trying to stay up with me. I'm not sure if it's appropriate for them.
No, well.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
But I'm watching weekly. We're watching WandaVision on Disney Plus, and it's about Wanda and Vision from the Avengers. They're amazing in this series, and every episode we're like, what did we just watch? What is happening? And in the last episode last night, we're like, we finally understand more. But it was like, we're like hanging on this cliff. Like, we just needed it. Like, give it to me. Like, it's that good, you guys. So if you're not watching WandaVision, and if you don't know who they are, you need to find out now and rent your Disney Plus subscription and catch up. It's really, really good. I'm also rewatching Yellowstone season 1 because I realized how much I missed, and I'm like, what was I doing? Why don't I know this? What's going on? So now I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much that happened. How did I miss that? It's so, so good. Yellowstone. And I watched a couple movies. So in Monsters of Man, this was categorized as action, horror, sci-fi. And yeah, it was pretty horrific because there are these 4 artificial intelligence robots that are like going through their testing period. And so they get dropped off in this jungle of, I believe it's Cambodia. And they happen to like basically massacre an entire village. And then there are these tourists who are actually a group of doctors who get thrown into this somehow. And now they're trying to escape. And they're just these innocent doctors that have no idea. Like all these people were innocent. And so they're just like running from these killer robots. And one of the people in the group have a GPS that these robots are following. So they just know where they are at all time. And they're just on to them. And they're just like dropping like flies. It's crazy. And they always like get hurt, you know, and then they get left behind. So it was just a series of like horror, basically. So scary, but exciting and loud. So, I don't know, Mike might want to watch this because it's like, you know, bang, bang, shoot 'em up like crazy. Almost a little bit Rambo, I felt like at times too. So yeah, I recommend it. You have to, well, I believe we paid, for the rental. And I believe we watched it on Prime. So, that was what we watched for our family night a couple weekends ago. And then I'm watching, I haven't finished it yet, but it's on Netflix and it's Radium Girls. And it's about, these, warehouse or factory workers, who are mainly women. And they're quite young. So they're girls. They're like underage as far as under 18. Some of them are. And they're working in this factory, hand painting dials for these watches for these soldiers in, I believe it's World War II. So I know with all my research and collecting vintage items, there a lot of toxic materials used during this time in the Depression era. And so what's happening is these girls, they're painting these dials, but they're being instructed to lick the paintbrush after they've dipped it into this toxic radiation paint. And so they're being poisoned with this radioactive paint. And so now their bones are toxic and they're basically falling apart from their mouth through their bones, you know. God. So they're sick. They're getting sick. They're going to the doctor who this factory or this company is recommending that they see, and they're being diagnosed with syphilis as a cover-up. So the factory knows, they're aware that this paint is toxic, but they've gotten so deep and they've gone so far, they just don't know how to get out of it. They're just employing these people. They have not changed the standards. They have not changed the paint. And this is back when they're still doing experimental medical procedures. You know, it's not like nowadays where we feel more confident in going to the doctor, and, you know, we've learned so much. But still back then, it's like, you know, how long have they had penicillin? Right? So just the treatments back then and everything that they're going through, it was really heartbreaking to see what these young people are going through with this product that they're being told to put in their mouth.
Wow.
So I recommend it. It's hard to watch. Like the realization of what happened in our humanity at one time, like in the United States of America. Anywhere it could have happened, but the fact that it actually did, it's just crazy. And the fact that there's young people fighting back, like, hey, we can't do this. We have to be advocates and make change. Like, our sisters are dying, you know? So it was really good. And I have to finish it. I have like 25 more minutes left.
Ah, sounds good.
Yeah. But thank you, Diana. Thank you for your recommendations.
Thank you for yours.
You are welcome. And that's our show. Thanks for tuning in. We are grateful that you tuned in, and we hope something we said today resonated with you and gave you a chuckle, some happiness, some positivity, or inspiration. Please subscribe on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to your podcast, and tell a friend. We would love more members of our TV club. If you could do us a big favor and rate and review the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher, we really need your feedback.
We'll be uploading a new episode in a couple of weeks. Next show will be on what we are watching. So you can find our website listed in our show notes, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.